General Keith Kellogg was a highly respected man, couldn't believe when he heard it. And he knows everything about all of it. And to think that I would make statements negative to our military and our fallen heroes when nobody's done what I've done with the budgets, with the military budgets, with getting pay raises for our military. It is a disgraceful situation by a magazine that's a terrible magazine. I don't read it, but I just heard about it. They made it up, and probably it's a couple of people that have been failures in the administration that I got rid of, and I couldn't get rid of them fast enough. But or it was just made up. But it's unthinkable. As far as John McCain is concerned, I was never a fan, and I will admit that openly. I disagreed with him on the endless wars. I disagreed with him with respect to the vets and the taking care of the VA. I wanted to do it a much different way, and I think it's proven to be a much more successful way when you look at the success we've had with the VA and with our vets, with choice and with accountability, all the things I've got. So I disagreed with John McCain, but I still respected him. And I had to approve his funeral as president. We lowered the flags. I had to approve that. Nobody else. I had to approve it. When you think, and I'm just thinking back, I had to approve either Air Force One or a military plane to go to Arizona to pick up his casket. And I approved it immediately. I had to approve the funeral because he had a first-class AAA funeral that lasted for 9 days, by the way. I had to approve it. All of that had to be approved by the president. I approved it without hesitation, without complaint. And I felt he deserved it. I disagreed with him on things, and he was a tough guy, but I felt he deserved it. For somebody to say the things that they say I said is a total lie, it's fake news, it's a disgrace, and frankly, it's a disgrace to your profession. Now, with all of that being said, you'll speak to Keith Kellogg, you'll speak to other people, because many people knew. Let me just go into the, if I might, into the trip to Europe and to France. I was ready to go to a ceremony. I had two of them, one the following day. It was pouring, and I went to that. But the helicopter could not fly. The reason it couldn't fly, because it was raining about as hard as I've ever seen. And on top of that, it was very, very foggy. And the helicopter was unable to fly. It was a fairly long helicopter flight, but it was a very long drive. In order for me to go, we would have had to leave immediately and go through very busy areas of, I guess, Paris, but a very, very heavily traveled area, a big city. I think it was Paris. And the Secret Service told me, you can't do it. I said, I have to do it. I want to be there. They said, you can't do it. We'll get you confirmation of this. They said, for you to do that, make that trip, not by helicopter flying over everything. We have to work with the police. We have to work with everything. And I think you'll find on record in the police force, in the areas that we're talking about, areas of Paris that we're talking about, I think you'll find on record requests. And we actually have Secret Service that I'm going to ask to give you details. They said you can't do it. It was 2.5 hours or 2 hours of drive. It was a long drive. They said you can't do it. So I said, no, I want to do it. They said you can't. There was no way I would have been able to do it. And they would never have been able to get the police and everybody else in line to have a president go through a very crowded, very congested area. So I went and I called home. I spoke to my wife. I said, I hate this. I came here to go to that ceremony and to the one that was the following day, which I did go to. I said, I feel terribly. And that was the end of it. Now all of a sudden somebody makes up this horrible story that I didn't want to go. And then they make up an even worse story, calling certain names to our fallen heroes. It's a disgrace that a magazine is able to write it. And anybody that, if they really exist, if people really exist that would have said that, they're lowlifes and they're liars. And I would be willing to swear on anything that I never said that about our fallen heroes. There is nobody that respects them more. So I just think it's a horrible, horrible thing. We made a great evening into, frankly, a very sad evening. when I see a statement like that. No animal, nobody, what animal would say such a thing? And especially since I've done more, I think that almost anybody can help our military.
A significant